Welcome to Behind the Trigger, and today we're going to be looking at the Wrangler chambered in 22 long rifle. It's a nice little gun. I have a lot of rounds through it. The gun does have some little nuances that may irritate people, or they may seem that they have malfunction. It's not a malfunction, it's a design thing. Some of it's a safety thing, but keep in mind the price of the gun. I mean, for what it is, it shoots really well. It's fairly accurate. I really haven't had any issues with it. So the first issue some people may have is, as you can see, the firearm is safe. And one thing that is nice about this is it is freewheeling. However, that may create an issue, and it may seem like there is an issue with the firearm. And because if the cylinder is not properly indexed when you close the loading gate, the hammer won't go back. And that's very simple to fix. You just rotate the cylinder till it locks and indexes properly. Once that happens, it's ready to go again. Another issue is with the cylinder retaining pin. Okay, if it is, let's see if I can do this. If it is partially out, the hammer will not fully rotate, okay? Because what happens is that transfer bar in there comes up and it'll actually hit the firing pin. I don't know if you can see that or not. Sometimes, okay? And it should do it just about every time. But if you have it, obviously, if you have it tilted back, you're going to let that transfer bar flip back. Then it will cock. I'll show you how that kind of works. So at the end of this is a little detent, a little spring-loaded detent, okay? So what happens when you put it in, not only does it hold the cylinder in place, but it also pushes on the transfer bar, okay? And when that happens, the transfer bar when it's pushing on the transfer bar, it actually pushes it back away from the firing pin, allowing it to come up in front of it. Now, if it's not in all the way, no pressure on the transfer bar, obviously that transfer bar is just going to come straight up unless it's tilted back, and it's going to hit the firing pin. So it is a safety design, whether some people like it or not. So put it back in, and operational. The other thing I want to talk about is the trigger spring. Now, I took a gamble on this, tried to find some answers on it. Would the single 6 reduced power trigger spring work in the Wrangler? The answer is yes. Don't know how long it's going to last. I've had no issues with it so far, and it did greatly reduce the trigger pull. So the factory trigger spring, the legs on it have this bend right here, okay? Now the Wolf spring does not have that. It's quite a bit thinner spring seal, so really not an issue install. It went together pretty good, and so far I've had no function issues as far as the trigger spring goes. Also, the other thing is this is the factory spring, so it's squared off right here, and the Wolf one is rounded, making it just a tad narrower. Once again, like I said, no issues with it. If you do go to do the firing spring, there is one thing you need to be aware of, and that is the hammer spring itself, okay? That's this right here. So when you cock it, it compresses it, and it reveals a hole. You want to make sure if you remove this right here, you put a pin in there. Because if you don't put a pin in there, you're going to have to try to get this plate right here back in place. And this is a strong spring. It is not an easy task to do by yourself. I have done a couple of them. It's not fun. So you definitely want to find something, an Allen wrench or something like that, and just pin it. So that's my thoughts on the Wrangler and some of the little nuances people have had with it and I've had with it. Please subscribe, comment, and if you have any questions, comments below. Thank you very much.